Okay, welcome to the Course of Sin PTB. Our survivor, Aurora Stardotter.
Celestials have little care for mortals.
Alright, her 3 teachables. Fruits of your labor. Whenever a generator is completed, you earn 1 token. Whenever you finish repairing a generator, for each token, you gain 5% haste for 2 seconds, and you gain 20% healing progress. So kind of a low-budget adrenaline. And you only get it when you yourself are the one who completes the generator. Next, Salvation's Cry. Whenever the killer starts chasing you, you see the auras of other survivors for 3 seconds, and the survivors not being chased see your aura and the killer's aura for 5 seconds. And Boon Steadfast. Generators in the Boon's range regress 50% slower, and survivors repair them 10% faster. And our killer, the Judgment.
More heretics require my...
Okay, that just interrupted her speech, but okay. Her power, Will of the Gods. So behavior is now kind of condensed all the information, so it's not just a giant comic book paragraph. Divine Light. Casts columns of powerful light from above to injure and inflict survivors with heresy. Exile. Banish heretics to exile, giving them a hook state and empowering yourself at the same time. Zealous. Activates after exiling a heretic, empowering Divine Light. Exiling a heretic while zealous resets its duration. The Shrines of Judgment. Excuse me, do you mind? Shrine of Judgment. Heretics can repent at Shrines of Judgment to absolve their heresy, while highlighted shrines can be used by any survivor to liberate heretics from exile. Heresy. Survivors with heresy, also known as heretics, can be exiled while in the dying state. Heretics also gain an impairment to basic repair action skill checks. So this was the old ruin where if you landed a good skill check, it would regress a generator, and if you landed a great skill check, there would be no progress. And the Searcher's Pendant. The Searcher's Pendant can absorb exiled souls to protect from the exile's seeds of punishment. Exiled souls are also extended their protection after a survivor has been liberated. So basically, the more souls you collect while in the exile with this item, the longer your endurance and elusive and everything else lasts outside when you get freed. As for her 3 teachables, Celestial Witness. Every 30 seconds, if the obsession is at least 40 meters away from you, you see their aura for 3 seconds. Otherwise, the farthest survivor becomes the obsession. Hex under your thumb. First time a survivor gains a hook state, a dull totem ignites. Whenever a running survivor gains haste within 32 meters of you, running survivors cannot gain more than 15% haste at a time. It's going to be weak because it's a hex perk. And her final teachable, Lay Waste. Whenever you damage a generator, for each charge it has, it regresses 2% faster, with a cooldown of 45 seconds. So basically, if a generator has 89 charges, when you kick it, it'll regress, let's see, 178% faster, which is 178% of 0.25 charges a second, so it's going to regress slightly less than half a charge a second. Not great, but it's not the worst. Going over add-ons from common to iridescent. Searcher's Skull. Whenever a survivor blinds you, if they are a heretic, they become blinded themselves. Then they gain heresy. Prayer Kneeler. While controlling Divine Light that is slowed down by an obstruction, further decreases its max speed by 99%, If cast, it reaches max speed 25% faster and increases its max speed by 10%. Conrad's Gauntlet. Increases the max time that could be spent controlling Divine Light before it's cast by 25%. Decreases the max speed of controlled Divine Light by 10%. Heretic's Mark. When cast Divine Light passes a survivor within 1 meter without hitting them, reveal them with Killer Instinct for 2 seconds. Undying Flame. While zealous, increases the maximum lifetime of a cast Divine Light by 200%. Decreases the radius of Divine Light by 50%. The range that survivors can observe Divine Light's aura is extended by 200%. Magnetized Manacles. Whenever you exile a survivor with the lowest amount of hook states, gain a token up to a maximum of 5. Whenever you become zealous for 10% longer per token. Electric Torch. Decreases the radius of Divine Light by 10%, increases the maximum speed of controlled Divine Light by 25%. You move 10% faster while controlling Divine Light. Confessor's Warhorn. Survivors gain Heresy additionally gain Exhausted for 10 seconds. Aurora's Telereceptor. Whenever a survivor gains Heresy, their aura is revealed for 4 seconds. Additionally, your aura is revealed to them for 4 seconds. Superheated Glass. You are zealous for 50% shorter. When you are zealous, a cast Divine Light breaks all breakable walls and drops pallets it passes through. Order of Inquisition. Whenever Divine Light is cast, its radius starts 50% smaller but grows until it is 100% larger over 1 second. Mark of the Adherent. While zealous in casting Divine Light, you retain 1% control over it. Obstructions slow it down by an additional 50%. Holy Winged Icon. While controlling Divine Light, gain the ability to press the Killer ability button to cast it back towards yourself. When cast this way, the minimum delay before it is lethal is set to 0.5 seconds. Increases the max speed by 10%, it only damages heretics. Blindfold of the Devoted. Whenever you exile a survivor with the lowest amount of hook states, reveal the auras of all other survivors with the lowest amount of hook states outside of 32 meters for 5 seconds. Obsidian Feather. You can no longer cancel Control Divine Light, and it is automatically cast when it would instead time out. You move 75% faster while controlling Divine Light, and you recover 10% slower and move 30% slower while casting Divine Light. Improved Detonators. Whenever you exile a survivor with the lowest amount of hook states, if no survivors are dead, gain a token. Then, if you have 4 or more tokens, the generator with the most progression explodes and instantly regresses by 20% of its total progression. Eyes of Gerhardt. Whenever a heretic completes a generator or opens an exit gate, the aura of all heretics are revealed to you for 5 seconds. Chains of the Heretic. While zealous, the minimum delay before Divine Light is lethal is set to 0.5 seconds. Increases the max speed of controlled Divine Light by 100%. Increases the max speed of cast Divine Light by 50%. And cast Divine Light will always be directed towards you. Mirror of the Creators. A cast Divine Light now reflects off the first 2 obstructions it would otherwise pass through. When reflecting, it pauses for 0.5 seconds before being cast again. And Crown of the Destroyer. Whenever a survivor liberates another survivor from exile for 20 seconds, your terror radius is reduced by 75%, and your terror radius is copied to every Shrine of Judgment. You also gain Undetectable. Oh good, Dead Dog Saloon. My favorite.
None will escape my sight.
Oh, there someone is already. Okay, I guess it doesn't track on the survivor. Oops, wrong one. Off to Brazil. Okay, I guess it's not bouncing the way I thought it would. Off to Brazil. Okay, so no one was on that one. Rebound. This thing's getting stuck a lot. Why did it not just go straight towards her there? Yeah, I'm done trying to get the power down. To the Shadow Realm. Oh wow, that actually got him. Well, for that, I'm sending you to the worst place imaginable. New Jersey! Come on, game over, man! To the Shadow Realm with you! Let's prime this. Break this. Oh, it only goes down here. Let's prime this as well. That a bit. Blasphemers. Okay, maybe this add-on's not as good as I thought it would be. You know what? I'm gonna give you the greatest gift of all. A job application. Don't be so dramatic. It is your turn to face divine retribution. Yeah, this iridescent add-on's doing all the heavy lifting. I've decided that this is not a killer that's for me. I did not do very well in algebra class. And she almost walked right into that. Is she gonna just exit immediately so I can get the post-game mori? Come on. Escape the match so I can get my little mori going. No. You deserve divine punishments. Is the game not over? Didn't I win? Hello? Why is the game not over yet? Why am I being held hostage here? Oh, there we go. Overall, the Judgment is a strong and can be a fun killer with great snowball potential. However, in my opinion, what's holding them back is they have just too much of a high skill floor that is barring lower skilled players or people who don't want to learn a complex killer from picking them up. And the power is pretty hard to use for mouse and keyboard, so it's much harder for a controller to work it. In fact, Behavior has added a new feature in this PTB to increase your aim sensitivity strictly for the Judgment alone because of this power. Even in Behavior's tooltip on how to play the character, for loops, they suggest for you to charge a controlled Divine Light, aim it away from a survivor for like a second, and then do a 180 flick, relocate the survivor, and adjust your aim for their movement, and then cast it so that the beam is pretty much right back underneath your character when you cast it, so that the hit delay expires before it reaches the survivor and it hits them. But some people have a small problem with this. Whipping their camera angle around too fast gives them motion sickness. In fact, there is a war raging right now on social media. One faction wants the Judgment's power to be made a little bit more easier and user-friendly so that people don't have to whip their camera angle around and get motion sickness, or have to do the nonsense of do a 180 flick to aim behind you and then do another 180 flick to aim at the survivor and then launch the attack and hit them. The other side doesn't want any changes done to the Judgment and think that this high skill floor should stay in the game and bar anyone who is lesser from picking up the killer, and that only the truly good or skilled players should be the ones who play the Judgment. Not really too feasible for a community voted chapter that should, for more or less, be more accessible to everybody. Now, I don't think that the killers should have all their skill expression removed. They can keep their high skill expression, but still, Behavior can probably find some middle ground to make the power a little more accessible for other players. Many people have had the idea and talked about making the Prayer Kneeler add-on base kit. And what the Prayer Kneeler does is when the controlled beam of light makes contact with an object, mostly items or objects that are taller than waist height, when it makes collision with these objects, its traversal speed slows down by 99%, making it practically stationary, giving you time to charge the beam long enough to render its hit delay to the minimum and still aim it towards survivors without having to turn your camera all around and looking everywhere at once. Mind you, the controlled Divine Light time span is only 3 seconds, so you have to whip your camera around pretty fast in order to readjust it to hit a survivor before its lifespan expires. Me personally, I think a better idea is when you charge the controlled Divine Light, at first, when it starts moving, it travels at 10% of its maximum speed, and over the course of 1 second, it ramps back up to its maximum speed, including whatever add-ons you may have attached. This will give other players, the troller and other players who don't want to whip their camera angle around, this will give them more time to charge up the Divine Light before it gets too close to survivors so they can cast it and still have a chance at hitting them, without having to do a bunch of trigonometry in order to calculate the angle in which they should throw the attack. In recompense for this incredibly slow starting speed, the controlled Divine Light could last an extra half a second, maybe 1 second longer for its lifespan. I don't know, that's just my idea. I don't mind the Judgment having its kit stay as is. It's just, it's going to be much less accessible for players, which means it's going to have a much lower pick rate, possibly less cosmetics coming out for it, and it's probably will end up as one of those killers who just laid to the wayside, forgotten. The add-ons for the Judgment are a good mix of small, meaningful buffs and other effects, while also having 4 add-ons that changes the behavior of the controlled Divine Light to change the playstyle of Judgment players. There's the Prayer Kneeler that I was talking about earlier, that when it collides with a solid object, its traversal speed is reduced severely so that you can charge it up and still aim it without it going anywhere. There are 2 add-ons that allow you to cast the Divine Light towards yourself under 2 separate conditions, one being while you're zealous, and the other while you can just use the killer's special ability to cast it backwards. And an iridescent add-on that has the Divine Light, the casted Divine Light, bounce off of 2 objects, which the upside of this is that it just doesn't automatically track survivors so that it's easy hits. But it also is a hard add-on to use as well. As for the perks, Celestial Witness is a decent information perk. If your obsession is further than 40 meters away from you, you see their aura for 3 seconds. But if you combine this with the Nemesis perk, every time the obsession changes to a survivor, Nemesis will not only apply Oblivious to that survivor, but will also let you see that survivor's aura for a little bit, which can give you a decent tracking method every 30 seconds for every survivor, even when it's down to the last one, maybe. The Hex perk under your thumb, I think it would have been better as just a regular perk with a long cooldown, say 120 seconds, 150 seconds, I don't know. Because Hex perks can be destroyed and then they're just useless for the rest of the match. And the final perk, Lay Waste, is just a slightly better Colubrine when the generator is almost about to pop. But When the generator is like less than 80% complete, then Call of Brine would be stronger, but I don't know. Lay Waste just seems like a better Call of Brine. What's best about it is that it only affects the regression rate of the generator, so you can combine it with, say, Pop Goes the Weasel, and you won't suffer diminishing returns. The Survivor Aurora is fine. I never really care too much about like the Survivor model or their look. Like it's not a really important thing to me. Like, yeah, they look good and that's fine, but I really don't have any critique for how the Survivor for each chapter looks. It's just another skin to pull over the Survivor model for me. However, her perks are kind of decent as well. The fruits of your labor, every time a generator is completed, you get a token. And whenever you complete a token, or a generator, sorry, whenever you complete a generator yourself, the effect activates and you will get 5% haste for every token and a 20% heal progression for every token as well. So if you're working on the last generator and you pop it, you will get 25% haste for 2 seconds and you will get 100% healing progress. So if you're injured, you become instantly healed, like a mini adrenaline. Her other perk, Salvation's Cry, is also a very useful information perk. Whenever the killer starts a chase with you, you see the auras of survivors who are not in chase for 3 seconds, and the survivors who are not in chase see the aura of you and the killer for 5 seconds. This can help you determine where your teammates are so you don't run the killer into them completing a generator, and can help your teammates know, okay, the killer is far away, I can safely work on this generator without worrying about being interrupted. Her boon perk, Steadfast, I don't really like, but not for the first half of it. Generators within the boon's radius regress 50% slower, which hinders killers' regression on them, but also survivors in the boon's range repair generators 10% faster. I don't think that the boon should also increase the repair speed of generators, as the slowing down regression is good enough, especially if you can find a totem that is at the edge, or sorry, a generator that's at the edge of a boon totem's range. I honestly think that it can just be the regression reduction, and that's it, because survivors already have a plethora of gen repair speed perks on top of pretty much everything else. Every other task that they would do just take less time so they can spend more time on generators, making the generators pop even faster and sooner. Other little noteworthy changes in this PTB that are important to me is the off-hook protection now gains elusive, which I don't like that status effect. It gives the survivor 4 protections against most killer tracking. No scratch marks, no pools of blood, no auras, no grunts of pain, or very important aspects that killers use to track survivors. Along with the haste and off-hook endurance for all 3 of these effects, but the good thing is it's once again reduced down to 10 seconds at this last, so having elusive off-hook is not that bad of a trade-off to make it only last 10 seconds. However, the elusive status effect does not apply during the gates powered phase of the game. Another change that I like very well is Sprint Burst now only lasts 2 seconds instead of 3 seconds. I don't think this should be applied to the other exhaustion perks that give you speed, like Lithe or Bounce Landing, because those require certain conditions to be fulfilled, although easy conditions, but still conditions nonetheless, where Sprint Burst is just press shift and you get free distance on the killer. Another change is Vigil's recovery from status effects going from 66% to 40%. This is just a small difference, like 2 to 4 seconds for most status effects. What should be done about Vigil is that it does not affect, say, hindered applied by killer powers. Other status effects applied by killer powers are just not as meaningful, but the killers who are affected by this mostly is Freddy, Clown, and Nemesis. Vigil should not protect against the hindered status effect applied by their power. Having Vigil on a survivor is literally just an easy counter to all three of these killers in some aspect, where it makes their effectiveness much, much less. And a bad change that I think, in my opinion, is Repressed Alliance went from blocking a generator for 30 seconds to 15 seconds. This is mostly used to prevent a killer from damaging a generator with perks like, say, Pop Goes a Weasel, or Turn Back the Clock, or Pain Resonance. Although I think the 15 seconds doesn't last long enough, because as a killer is approaching the generator, you block the generator. By the time the killer gets to that generator, they probably only have to wait about 12 more seconds, and then they can use whatever gen regression perk they want. The trade-off is they're giving up a chase for it, but having Repressed Alliance last 30 seconds means a killer has to completely abandon the idea of using any gen regression on that generator. If they want to reduce it so that it lasts a little less time so that survivors can get back to repairing it, drop it down to maybe 24 seconds. I don't know. Either way, that's all my opinions for this chapter. I honestly think that my idea for changing the behavior of the controlled Divine Light will make the judgment a lot easier for newer players or less experienced players to pick up and at least give a try, while also still retaining enough skill expression for the higher class players to still do their skill shot montages or show that they're really good at the judgment. Either way, that's everything.